Wow. Wow. This album's bad. It's really bad. Revival, a record so bad even his most devoted stans could not rationalize it. The song Tragic Endings literally sounds like a demo. The mix sounds like crap. It sounds like a demo song. Why is it on this album? How he has sold millions and millions of records and his songs are mixed like garbage, I don't know. I think this song just goes to show that all the money in the world cannot buy good taste. It apparently cannot buy good production either. The beat seems a little underbaked, like a lot of cuts off of Revival did, as there is this sudden rush of snares that fly in that guide us into the verses of the track that get kind of blown out and they clip and they distort and they sound horrendous. We have more excruciating melodrama on the song Nowhere Fast. It's pretty much your typical Eminem tugging at your heartstrings affair, but with Kalani on the hook. There's really nothing special about the track outside of Eminem's vocal passages at the 3:20 mark, which is some of the worst vocal layering I've heard all year. It sounds like Eminem trying to harmonize with MIDI strings and a tone-deaf robot. Though I know it might be hard to hear that past Eminem's annoying yelled vocal harmonies on the track, something I wish he would stop doing. And also the muddy explosion of organ and diarrhea bass on Leaving Heaven, the chorus on that track really needed to go back to the drawing board. It really did. After this we have the song Untouchable, which could essentially be the centerpiece to a Hamilton-style rap musical inspired by White Guilt. I feel like his approach is just so grossly preachy and reductive. Not to mention his yelpy vocals and the instrumental are absolutely hideous and annoying. Way to go ruining a completely good Cheech and Chong song. The song In Your Head completely ruins a wonderful Cranberries song. One of my favorite Cranberries songs, one of the best songs of the 90s, totally wrecks it. The song Remind Me ruins another perfectly good song, Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll. It's this really garish, ugly rap rock fusion, the worst bar on it being, your booty is heavy duty, like diarrhea. Yeah, it's just stomach churning. It's sickening. I can't stand it. The song Heat is this really stomach churning country rap. It sounds like Eminem took every terrible quality of a Yellow Wolf song and tried to condense them down into one song. What is with this album and the lazy sampling? Most of the time it just sounds like when there is a sample on the album, Eminem is just rapping over a badly mixed and muddy cut of the song itself and just leaving it like that with some extra drums pumped in just to give it some punch. There's also the song Venom, the closer on this thing, and of course this song is going to be on the upcoming movie's soundtrack. That's just perfect. I can't really comment on this song outside of saying it has one of the ugliest choruses I've ever heard in Eminem's entire career. Venom, adrenaline, get 'em, ain't gonna know what hit 'em, Venom. How is this real life? How is this a real thing that a mainstream artist does on their song? Toward the end of the LP, where Shady is feeling a bit more introspective, we get the song No Regrets, which is so boring and tedious it should be illegal. The track Marsh not only sports one of the worst choruses on the entire record, but some of the worst lines stacked on top of each other too. I get dough like Ed Sheeran, so call me the gingerbread man. How could I hit a dry spell? I'm named after the wetlands. I look up to myself like a fucking headstand. Right now, I live in an igloo and I'm not chilling the fuck out. And there are numerous contenders on this thing for the worst bar. Girl, you're just gonna have to put them other chumps on the back burner. You got buns? I got Asperger's. I just bodied the beat, so that hole must have been dug, 'cause it just died, like food coloring does. So let's get turnt like a shish kebab, twist it ma, like an air conditioning knob. Or that other line saying that his competition can't see him because he doesn't own a mirror. Which I think inadvertently is kind of a statement about Eminem digging himself so far down into a hole of mediocrity that he's literally lost all touch with the outside world, and he's the only person who he can talk to. Keep in mind this track and the entire album kicks off with Eminem muttering into the microphone, "I feel like I want to punch the world in the fucking face right now." You're so dramatic. Musically, the song just sounds really cliche, really trite, overly dramatic. The lyrics are all about being in a relationship built on lies and taking advantage of one another. It's pretty unlikable. No reason to listen to this track ever again. And what the hell is this ugly, completely unlistenable, jagged melodic flow backed up with these synth strings that Eminem hits us up with in the last leg of the song? To my partners, I can't say how sorry I am. This is not how I planned for our story to end. I love all of you, man, but I can't be the guy. That is the worst sounding flow I've heard this year. That is such a horrendous flow. Just because you have the technical ability to do something does not mean you should do it or that it sounds good. Unfortunately, this is a lesson I think Eminem has yet to learn. And of course, fast rapping. Gotta rap fast. On the song Bad Husband, I don't know what's worse. Is it the instrumental and the ex-ambassador's hook, the weird sputtering electronics in the beat, or is it Eminem's lyrics about how can I be such a garbage, abusive spouse, but such an amazing dad? Which, I mean, I get it. Some people are terrible at some things, good at other things. It's not really rocket science. It just seems like a really weird kind of humble brag. But maybe Eminem just really doesn't have it in him to do anything other than just shrug in song and say, hey guys, I'm having a hard time charting myself at this point, okay? On the song Offended, I am offended, but maybe not in the way that Eminem intended me to be offended. Because there's nothing really all that edgy about the song, you know? It's just kind of childish, that's all. No, really, I mean, with this track, I'm just kind of offended that I wasn't offended that much. Because honestly, these days, Eminem's humor is either not landing or it's just not there because he is way too angry and self-serious, responding to his critics with some pretty half-assed, lazy, and boring arguments like, I'm an artist, you guys aren't artists, you'll never be artists. You guys just want sliders. Revival is a porterhouse. It's too deep for you to get. If you don't get my music, you're retarded. I bet you guys would have liked my last album if it was auto-tuned. Yeah, this track is not as much a song as it is just Eminem ranting with a flow. Eminem is on his deathbed on this track, and he's still writing bars like there's a bunch of dudes in the emergency room going, There's another bar on this track where he tries to beat his detractors to the inevitable critique of this album by saying, oh, well, why is he taking out the fact that his album sucks on us? Usually when you try to delegitimize the point of view of your haters by throwing their opinions out there before they do, you might try to exaggerate a flaw in their reasoning to point out how stupid that is. Really do or say anything to diffuse that argument, but yet Eminem doesn't do that. He just simply states that people are going to point out that he's essentially throwing a lyrical temper tantrum on this song because people didn't like his last record. Which is true. You are throwing a temper tantrum on this track because you don't like the fact that people pointed out that your last album sucked. That's all true. It's all still true. The song Need Me featuring Pink is really like a Pink song featuring Eminem. She takes up a bulk of the track, which maybe is a saving grace if you like Pink and you don't want to hear so much Eminem anymore on this album. The song River featuring Ed Sheeran is, of course, a terrible, melodramatic rap ballad. But I feel like Eminem kind of ruins the potential of the song by throwing out some idiotic and horrendous bars at people who didn't really deserve his ire. But now you're just bitterly attacking young, talented artists who are making better projects than you right now. Eminem goes as far as to say, don't tell me about the culture. I inspired the Hobsons and the Logics. Yeah, dude, I don't know if I would retain bragging rights on that. I'm mostly just annoyed at this constant critique from Eminem that there's a lot of this new music out there and it's just not that deep. We have those kind of nights where Eminem, I guess, is recounting a bunch of sexual encounters he's had while going out at the club, taking him back to his D12 days, which should have stayed back there. All I'm gonna say is that this obviously was not an album I was expecting. Had I been expecting it, I would not have been looking forward to it. There is a lot of blissfully ignorant and totally out of touch trash on this thing. A good chunk of it is pretty much unlistenable. There are songs on this thing where I am struggling not to hit the skip. There's a point in the track when he sort of rewinds and sort of goes back in time to where he doesn't take those pills, doesn't put himself on his deathbed. The beat of the previous track reintroduces itself, and he ends the album flushing the pills down the toilet, which is actually kind of fitting for this album to end with the sound of a toilet flushing. Yeah, this thing is awful. Light 2.